Hi, I'm Joshua from the content team at Spoken. If you're discovering us for the first time, Spoken is the place where authors can voice cast, narrate, publish, stream, socialize, and eventually monetize an audio version of their works using AI. At the same time, Spoken is a place for listeners to discover works like never before. From breakthroughs to bestsellers, all existing in one place, they can support the authors they love. You're joining us today at the start of an epic new journey we're calling Spoken into Existence.
Ever wonder what would happen if a couple of award-winning and best-selling authors teamed up with cutting-edge AI to cast, voice, and publish an entire audiobook in real time as the story is being written? Yeah, no one did. Because it's never been done. Until now. Until we made that very thing possible. In March of 2025, authors Joseph Nassise and Tom Leveen came to us with an interesting proposition: to conceive a series collaboratively, written for audio, and to do it using Spoken's AI Studio. Two authors daring to take a technological leap into unexplored terrain in both the publishing world and the art of storytelling. So over the next 5 weeks and 5 episodes, we're taking you behind the scenes as this story comes to life. From writing specifically for audio, to casting the perfect voices, or even creating brand new ones using custom voice AI tools, you'll see how easy it is to shape, edit, and publish a fully voiced audiobook all within one platform. Authors becoming conductors of the entire symphony. AI helps bring it all together, but at the heart of it, it's still their voice, their choices, their story. And for you, the listener, the viewer, or the curious creative, you're getting a front row seat to watch the process unfold in real time. The blueprint for a new era of storytelling.
I feel in the shadows of giants here as an aspiring sci-fi author myself, which is how this all began. So Andrew and myself and our third co-founder sold a conversational AI company in healthcare in 2021, and then I went to go and complete my hard sci-fi novel, which I brag I have now done 18 times and counting. And and so I continue to work on it until it finally gets released as a little bird takes flight into the world, which I anticipate will be this summer. But I think I said that last summer. And so we'll see. But it's a nice 145,000 word doorstop. I mean, a thrilling techno thriller joyride. But that journey is what brought us into the storytelling world, and wanting self-published authors in particular to just have an easier way to bring great audio to life.
As you know, while I vast majority of the written work I consume is in audio, I sleuth the underbelly of the internet in Reddit, like r/no-sleep, and writing prompts and places like that. And there's some real diamonds in the rough there. And there's a huge creator community of folks that maybe don't even consider themselves authors or writers. They don't have they don't have brands. They haven't established themselves in any sort of way. They just do it for the fun, and they receive their internet points while making money for Reddit to put some ads in the comments and stuff. And Phil came to me with the idea to take words and give voice to writing. And I said, well, wait, why don't we give people a platform as well at the same time where they can publish this and receive the kind of recognition that they deserve for the narrative worlds that they're creating. And that sort of became a big sort of staple of the Spoken journey is not just to make it painless and super simple to take advantage of the most bleeding edge technology, but also to give a home to these authors that maybe haven't even been discovered yet?
I originally have 9 novels published with imprints of Penguin Random House, Simon & Schuster, and some other New York publishers, as well as I've sort of lost count of how many I've been doing under my own imprint the last several years. I've written for the comic book series Spawn over at Image Comics, which was a really great gig. And most recently, thank you, Andrew. Most recently, been doing quite a bit of fiction for the BattleTech universe, military science fiction, tabletop wargaming company over at Catalyst Game Labs, which has been really great. But then primarily focusing on building up my own imprints over the last few years and being able to exercise the kind of artistic control over those things that I know I have always wanted. So, and I've been teaching writing and various elements of writing for, I don't know, 15 or 16 years now, I think, roundabout. So that's me.
I'm Joe Nassise. I've been in the industry for, 25 years now. Sold my first book to Simon & Schuster back in 2000, and we're somewhere around 35, 36 novels sold to major publishers, Gallery, Simon & Schuster, Tor Books, HarperCollins, you name it, and then probably another 30 or so that I've done under my own imprint, Harbinger Books. I'm a former president of the Horror Writers Association, and I write primarily horror and urban fantasy.
And we're both Bram Stoker Award finalists several times. Right?
What Joe and Tom are going to be doing here on Spoken, with Spoken, is this is a real-time, direct-to-narration, direct-to-audio storytelling experiment, I guess we can call it that. It's built inside Spoken, in the Spoken studio, specifically for the Spoken format, audio first. Joe and Tom are going to develop these characters, which we'll get to in a moment, and they'll also be discovering or creating the voices for them using Spoken's voice library and custom voice tools. So it's going to be a very interesting process, and they're essentially producing this project as an audiobook from the ground up, writing, voice casting, narrating, and publishing all within the Spoken platform.
We're going to call it Sackcloth and Blood, and there will be 4 novellas, each one dealing with one of the 4 horsemen, war, famine, pestilence, and death. A couple of years ago, actually, Tom and I were talking about doing a joint series together, and we fell upon the idea of potentially doing a series about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We write horror, we write supernatural thrillers, urban fantasy. I mean, it just kind of fit our wheelhouse, so to speak. And the 4 horsemen are, obviously well-known characters, and we wanted to play with them a little bit. But we didn't want to do a standard, hey, it's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, everybody run and hide and scream in terror. There's no fun in that. So we decided somewhere along the way to take everything about the 4 horsemen and turn it on their head, starting with the idea that the 4 horsemen are actually the heroes of the series.
I'm sorry, I'm going to start laughing because she's so awesome. We have a 5th character who is sort of the mentor, the Miyagi character throughout the entire series, named Sister Mary Agnes. And Sister Mary Agnes is a combat boot-wearing, camel chain-smoking nun whose only weapon that I think, ever see, as far as we know at this point, is a ruler that she uses to bash her recalcitrant children throughout the story. And she is just an absolute ball. We played a little bit with some of her dialogue the last couple of days, and she is going to be a great anchor and also counterpoint to some of the horror stuff, because we have to stay at top of our roots. We got to have scary monsters and demons and combat and all that kind of good fun stuff, and then we'll leaven it a little bit with some Sister Mary Agnes on the side there too. So I'm excited to get writing her, actually.
Yeah, she's known as the Harbinger, and she's the one who kind of corrals the horsemen and gets them pointed in the right direction and helps them along the way as they deal with the various things that crop up, as Tom mentioned.
Yeah, well, an apocalypse is complicated to manage, and so having a spiritual leader, I think, is important. I love that there's so many. It's such a visual idea, right? I mean, these conjure, in the mind's eye, which we always talk about, right? You've got to get lost in story, right? You get lost in the mind's eye. And this immediately conjures all sorts of just fun. I mean, listen, I want to laugh when I'm reading about an apocalypse, because too often we're seemingly living an apocalypse where we're crying, so we might as well be laughing with an apocalypse.
I wonder if we can get Liquid Death to sponsor this little promo here. I'm actively drinking iced
Aren't there
tea right
four different? I think there's four different flavors.
There you go.
That
Well, Famine is a massively obese individual wearing a World War I, spiked German helmet, riding a rebuilt motorcycle. That we continue with that with the rest of the characters. War, Moxie Kirk, she's going to be a 14-year-old punk teenager who, has been given control of every weapon on the planet. We want to keep with that idea that these characters are not who you expect them to be, and the story is going to go in directions that you will not expect it to take.
Everything that Spoken is offering with the different voices and being able to modulate and really hone in on how those different characters sound, I think is going to be a really fun discovery process. And I'm curious, Joe, to see how, once we get into the studio, playing with the voices, how that then in turn impacts how we're writing it and how it gets reciprocal. That's going to be really interesting to see. It's not something we usually get to do.
Nope. Totally different way of coming at it. And I think that's great. It challenges us. It expands our skill set. It makes it, that much more interesting, both on an intellectual and on a career-wise kind of path, and said, all right, how does this open up new vistas for us as creators, as writers? And what will we do with that in the future as we move forward?
When you think about the audio of this, do you imagine this to be single narrator, maybe single narrator, one different for each of the books, or do you imagine this to be multicast?
Oh, I think multicast would be the way I would go. And Tom mentioned, coming up with the right voice for Sister Mary Agnes and the right voice for Death. That'll really take it to a new place. Really, the sky's the limit. I mean, you've given us the tools that we can play with a variety of options and figure out which one we really like best.
Well, in fact, we have something coming up that I think could be really interesting. So not only have we released custom voices, but also personal voice. So if you guys want your voice in there as your own
a voice cameo,
you can have a voice cameo. It could be the narrator for that matter. But the other thing that we're doing is we're actually releasing a new source provider for really emotive multicast voices. And so with that, we're going to be actually automating. An author will be able to choose to automate the selection of the voice for every single character without having to actually go and screen them. We'll go ahead and choose the first one from the prompt that gets derived on how the character was described. And so I say that because when combined with the more emotive options, this comes from Hume as opposed to 11 Labs. 11 Labs is good, but Hume is even more emotive. And so we could utilize that, and we're going to be going live with that within about a week. So I think the timing is good.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think that that'll be something to consider. We've got a lot of sort of technical wizardry that we're bringing to the table to be able to leverage here.
Yeah, which will be really interesting because that inevitably, at least in my experience, hearing it read back, particularly when we have access to multiple types of voices, will reveal things that you just can't get off of the written page. And I'm for one, I'm very curious and excited to see what kinds of revision changes and editing changes we make as we go through the audio process too.
Yeah, what's that saying? The ear, not the eye, is the final editor.
And I think that's going to be fantastic for people to see, outside looking in, just the amount of power that you have as authors to sort of be your own production house. Like you're sitting down. This was never before possible. You're getting a full-blown cast of your choosing that you can change on the fly and getting the whole thing played out to you in front of you as an audio drama.
And I think this is going to take that one step further. I'm not just thinking about those things. I have to roll those things into production. And I have to communicate those things with Tom and him, vice versa the other way, so that when we sit down to make this an audiobook, we take all that into account. And I'm sure we're going to discover things that neither of us thought about. And that's part of the joy of the process, is like, that we do here. All right, let's dive in and figure it out.
That's a really fascinating observation. And I think that's a perfect sort of segue into the whole framework of this exercise. The Spoken into Existence series is not about having an established or clear point of view on exactly what you're going to do to arrive at the finished product. It's more so the intellectual curiosity that others will be able to learn from as you're sort of working through the process of discovery, right? What does work best when you have the rapid prototyping machine right there in front of you as you're writing copy to make adjustments on the fly?
It'll definitely be an unraveling of the adventure. Each week, we're going to take a look at one part of the process. So we're going to have a good, behind the scenes view of what the story is. We're going to get to learn the characters. Once we know the characters, I think the next step is when you step into the booth. You have your story, your characters. We're going to discover the voices. And we're going to show people behind the scenes what it's like to be an author inside the spoken studio, two authors collaborating in real time to decide on which voices they like. Is it the automated voices, the ones that we come up suggested through the prompt, or do they want to refine them and they have something else in mind? And the point is the choice is theirs, and we'll get to see that process, see them learn from it, come back to the table, perhaps refine, and then come back to the studio. And by the end of it, week to week, we'll have a full top to bottom pipeline for the author to write, narrate, voice cast, self-publish, stream, and eventually monetize all within one studio. Get your reactions week to week, and then look back on it all. And I think that'll be a phenomenal journey for both authors and listeners to really see. And
now, but the process itself, we built it with a workflow in mind, and what we're going to work together to showcase is not just following a regimented user experience, but actual hands-on sort of documentation and real-time feedback, and basically how does this support your creative exploration, right? And so I'm less interested in craving some kind of specific reaction and more so stoked on real-time feedback and then the eventual sort of framework for how other creatives can follow in your footsteps.
I think that given our timing here, and because we're going to be releasing even more automation to the process, automation of identifying and confirming custom voices for all these very interesting characters, I think that the sort of reaction to and maybe it'll be we'll be happy with it in some cases, maybe we'll be disappointed with it in some cases. And so I think just that genuine reaction of where we are with the state of the art, we pride ourselves on being state of the art on this, and we are, and is that genuine reaction to automation of bringing my words to the best life possible, and what does that mean, right? I mean, and I think that all of that is going to be just a great, genuine part of this experience.
One of the things I'm really excited about is the fact that, normally writers work alone, right? We sit at our desk, we're locked away in our office. It's just us and our thoughts, and that's it. So, when you add a writing partner, that expands it 100-fold immediately. But now I have to articulate why I think the way I do and why I make the choices I make. And not only do I have to articulate that to my writing partner, Tom, I have to articulate it to everyone who's watching on the other side of the screen, right? And so, being able to say, okay, this is why I made that choice. And understanding why I make some of the choices that I make, I think will both be enlightening to me as a writer and revealing to us as a partnership. That's going to be one of the exciting elements of this.
I don't know where this fits into the conversation necessarily, but just as you're saying that, Joe, and listening to you guys talk about it, right now there's five, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, right? Did I count that right? 5? Yeah. Okay. So there's 5 of us here. And as far as I know, all of us are actual living, breathing human beings, right? No one here is an avatar or an AI, as far as I can tell. Okay, Andrew doesn't look too sure, but all right.
But we are skeptical about Joshua. His that perfect.
Well, I mean, I
perfect
feel like
jawline.
statistically, one of us
The
is.
perfect jawline does throw us.
But like just hearing you talk about it in that sense is that this is still and will remain and always will be a thoroughly human experience.
Yeah.
Like from the beginning, like this is coming from us. This is coming from that back and forth that Joe's talking about, where the 2 of us, never mind the 5 of us, coming together to create this thing. That is so absolutely thoroughly human, and it will always be that way, in my opinion. But I think that's something that bears highlighting from time to time for people who aren't quite sure about it.
And this is a new form of storytelling, and you're laying the blueprint for it. We're excited to work with you on that and get to see it happen in real time and hear your feedback and learnings. And I think that it'll be fantastic for all of us and for all those who tune in and try it out themselves in the future. I think that will be a thing.
Agreed.
We'll be giving it a shot.
Here, here.
Having you both on with us at Spoken and exploring this journey together, it really marks, I think, a really great milestone for the organization, but also in how we're exploring media and how people experience stories. And I'm so grateful for you all being here with us to do exactly that.
Make sure to follow along as this one-of-a-kind story takes shape. You'll find new behind-the-scenes episodes right here, plus bonus content all throughout the series. Follow us on socials at spoken.press, and be sure to follow the authors too, at Tom Leveen and at J Nassise on Twitter. Joseph and Tom are both on Facebook at joseph.nassise or at author Tom Leveen. You can join the discussion in our communities over on Reddit and Discord. We'd love to hear your thoughts as the story unfolds. This is Storytelling Reimagined, and we're just getting started. Visit www.spoken.press.